Hello and welcome to another episode of the New World Comics Podcast. I am Buck Berlin, owner-operator of this fine establishment. Joined with me, as always, Stephanie Cerny.
Hey.
And running this fine shindig is Brad Reed.
Blessings.
Yeah, he's the voice of God, because
Yes.
you don't get to see him. So he's, to you, the watcher, viewer, is the disembodied voice. And to the listener, he's a guy that you assume is with us.
And
always.
incredibly handsome.
Yeah, but yeah, there's a picture of him right here.
Yes.
Oh,
Is that what they call the face for radio?
yeah.
Yeah.
So you can find Brad on the Nerds to Man podcast that he and Cameo started, and he actually lets me be on that thing. It's kind of crazy.
I love it. You bring the comic book knowledge, and I bring no knowledge about comic books.
You know some comics, like
Some.
Just
I'm getting
recently
better.
I taught you all about Joker's alias.
You did. You did.
It's Joker.
Yeah.
Anyway,
There you go.
Oh my God.
I digress.
He's here all week, folks.
Joined with us this week is one of my dearest friends in the entire world, Brad Cage.
Yay.
Yay!
Thank you for having me on. Finally, on episode 41.
Yeah, I've something crazy like that. Yeah,
Invitation got lost in the mail.
I have been asking you since like week one. I was
No.
like, Brad, when are you gonna be on? Brad, when are you gonna be on? Oh my God, Brad, when are you gonna be
It
on?
was
Like,
at least week 2.
fair enough.
It's all right. I made this
Yeah.
happen.
So,
Thank you, Stephanie.
You're
Yeah.
welcome.
so Brad, why don't you tell everyone who you are and what you do?
Okay, so I think a number of people know, but I'm not sure how many exactly realize that, I am not from Oklahoma. I'm originally from Wisconsin. I was born and raised in Milwaukee and ended up in the South because of where I went to school. I went to school at Texas A&M to get an engineering degree because when I was looking for colleges, I figured there had to be a good engineering school in a much better climate than frozen Wisconsin. So I came down to Georgia Tech or Texas A&M. So I definitely went for the warm side. That was definitely covered as far as that goes. And then when I got out of school back in 1999, ended up here with my first job with Marathon Oil. I work in the oil and gas industry. There isn't a whole lot of that in the upper Midwest.
Yeah.
So it was kind of limited to where I could go, which is okay because I enjoy the climate. And so that's how I ended up in Oklahoma and have been here ever since. And I currently do nothing. Unfortunately, I'm out of work at the moment, but that's okay. Something will work out.
Yeah, well, it's yeah.
You and I've talked about this, about, why things happen and what's going to happen in the future. So it's...
Yeah, and I have that life philosophy of things have a way of working themselves out.
Yeah.
Any bad situation, the good, comes from it.
Yeah, we're very much the same on that, and one of those things that, very much with my faith life, I know that there's a plan and I'm being led towards something. It's just, you have to kind of wait sometimes for those things to kind of actually work themselves out.
Right. You just need to go from, the one position into maybe something completely different, or, something will come along. So, yeah. But yeah, anyone who knows you knows that this is absolutely not a permanent thing. So
Yeah.
I mean, if it is, we have a new D-man. So Sarah's going to kill me.
She hasn't killed me yet, so it's...
I mean, yeah, but I say really dumb things. Oh, go ahead.
No, I was just going to say, what it's... I don't know what I was going to say. I lost my train of thought. Oh, well, so... We'll find it again
Yes.
later.
So, something that I always ask everyone, and I'm always kind of shocked because some of these I know and some of these I have no clue. Brad, what got you into comics?
Okay, so growing up as a kid of the 80s, I started, the toys that were coming out always were coupled with TV shows and most of the times comic books.
Yeah, because all the TV shows were just the 30-minute section of advertising for whatever toys were out.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It was a whole big conglomeration of we're going to try to hit every market on this as possible. And so my first real venture into the comic world was the G.I. Joe comics that started coming out in the early 80s. Didn't get as much into like Transformers. I was into the toys and the show,
Right.
but not as much. Huge fan of Voltron and the show, but the comics, not as much. G.I. Joe was the one that really first launched me into comics itself, that I, faithfully collected for years and years, to the point where, I finally collected the entire Real American Hero run, the original one that goes through 155 with your help. But that was the original start. It wasn't, Superman or Batman or, X-Men or Avengers or anything like that. That's the one that really got me into it. And kind of dabbled in some of the other heroes and stuff as time went along, and then got out of it a little bit. And then in early 90s, ended up getting back into it when you had the first big break off, when McFarlane and all those broke off, and that's where Image started out and Dark Horse started out. And of course, McFarlane did Spawn.
Yeah. And
so that got me back into comics. A good friend of mine back in Wisconsin, and he's still stuck there. Paul Tatro, he was the one that was kind of like, yeah, you're still doing Joe? And it's like, yeah, I'm still getting. He's like, well, you need to start checking all this stuff out from Image and Dark Horse, because they've broken away from Marvel, and it was really groundbreaking at the time. I mean, it totally changed the comic industry, because DC and Marvel were in such ruts.
Oh, yeah.
And they were really struggling. And, then, this started out, and it was like, and Spawn was really great to start out with. It's kind of gone a little off the rails somewhat, but moderately, But but that's what got me back into it again in the 90s, and it was getting into a lot of that stuff and the titles. And of course, along this time too was you had another round of animated shows that started coming out. That's when Batman the Animated Series was starting to get big, and then X-Men came out when they redid that series.
Oh, yeah.
And so with those shows, that's when I started getting into the more traditional, superhero realm. So I started getting into X-Men, which was confusing as heck when you jump in the 90s, and they got like 20 different titles, and you're trying to figure out who's on what team and who does what and what storyline.
Yeah, which looking back on it now, it's that's really pretty straightforward compared to what is going on right now.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
So yeah, and and then of course Batman's it had multiple titles. He's had Detective Comics, and then Batman, and what's the other one?
And there was Shadow of the Bat, and then there was Legend of the Dark Knight. There was
Yeah, but there wasn't near as bad as X-Men. But so I started getting into Batman and the Detective Comics run as well. But then then college hits, and of course you're focusing on studying eventually, and of course you don't have as much money, and so it kind of goes by the wayside again. And so got out of school and ended up here, and really had kind of gotten out of it again until would have been 2005. And again, my friend Paul was kind of like, hey, you got to read some of the stuff that's coming out. And so in about the middle part of the last decade, that was when Batman Superman had started, and was a really good run.
Yeah, it was Jeff Loeb, Ed McGuinness to start off with. Yeah.
Exactly. And then you also had Bendis was doing Daredevil at that time, which was a really good run.
Groundbreaking, yeah.
Yeah, of course that was, of course Kevin Smith got Daredevil kind of relaunched again and going, and then Bendis took it over, and it was just really good. And then also that was they had just finished the Ultimates. Yeah, the first round of the Ultimates, which is, I mean, correct me if I'm wrong, that's really kind of the basis for
the first Avengers movie.
Yeah, the Avengers movie and the current incarnation of the MCU to some degree.
Yeah, because it kind of did the groundwork there. I watched an interview with Kevin Smith a couple days ago where, which the interview is probably years old, but he didn't realize it at the time, but he is kind of the reason that we have all the stuff that's going on now. Because at the time, he had just gone through his first 3 movies and was working on Dogma. So he was still, that
Right. He was the Clerks Mallrats guy.
He was the rising star.
Right.
He was the big up and comer. Everyone was watching him, and he did Daredevil, which is not a thing that anyone thought that anyone from Hollywood would ever do.
Right.
And it's because of him that everyone did I mess around with comics. Like, I like comics. Joss Whedon did X-Men just because Kevin Smith did Daredevil. He was like, well, if he can do Daredevil, I can do X-Men, right?
Right.
And they're like, yeah, sure.
Yeah, why not?
So that got a lot of attention for people in Hollywood of, oh, well, if the people making our successful franchises are into comics, why don't we have them do the comic movies?
Well, and you think about it with a number of the comic book movies that had been made and tried up until that point, and I actually liked Daredevil. I thought it was there were some editing things that could have been changed. The director's cut is
awesome,
really good.
Yeah,
but it's one of those, and I think this is where Hollywood missed the boat up until the last few years, was not having those comic book people do comic book movies. You think back, when the first Batmans came out, some of the Superman movies, and it was just kind of like, all of us that were into comics that were reading were just like, what are they doing?
Yeah. Why did they not?
Why did they do this? It's like, oh, I can't believe that they did this, or they messed up this character or this origin, and and so we're just getting panned. And I think you're right. That realization that, hey, we need to have comic book people do this, because yes, while you're not going to completely follow the source material perfectly, you're at least going to capture the spirit of everything, and you're not going to upset the fandom.
Right. And it's, the fandom's there for a reason, and it's up to them to understand what works, what doesn't work.
Yeah.
And because all those were such a big deal that you couldn't just leave everything there to the powers that be at the time.
Right.
That some producer wants to put their spin on it.
Right.
So like the current Hellboy movie, so many. It had 16, 17 producers.
Yeah.
Everyone wanted to have their hand in the pie.
Yeah, and that's a recipe for disaster.
Right. Whereas, like with the Marvel ones, it's, a small handful of producers with one like one guy overseeing everything.
Right. It's you started out with Favreau really taking the concept along with, and then Whedon getting in and really letting Kevin Feige, it's like, all right, you're going to do this. You just oversee it and let them be and let them do. And it's been great. It's been wonderful to see. But anyway, getting back to
the Ultimates,
to 2005 and the Ultimates and all that. Of course, also around that time was, I'll call it the relaunch of Captain America, and that was the Brubaker run that started out, which is how we got the Winter Soldier, actually.
Yeah,
and phenomenal run. I think really, really reset and relaunched Captain America. Till they killed him.
Yeah. Well, and I was just talking about this today that because Civil War was it
was during that time,
whole time, and right before the relaunch of Captain America and Civil War, Captain America and Iron Man were the exact opposite, character-wise and motivation-wise of what they ended up being in Civil War.
Right.
At the time, Captain America was like, no government first, do by all this other stuff, and Iron Man was the free thinker that, hey, let's let bygones be bygones and everyone take care of yourself.
Right.
And then, Mark Miller got involved with all that, and it all flipped.
Yeah. Like totally. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like, Tony is like, Tony Stark, I've been the head of S.H.I.E.L.D. I know how this works. And it's like, no, we're not going to, be in bed with government and all that. And so, and it was like, wait a minute.
Well, and that's more true to form for Captain America, that anytime that he thinks that something's up, he's more than happy to throw off the mask and do I'm going to go do right over here.
Yeah.
Yeah. Just, I will support the people before I support the machine.
Exactly.
So, yeah. So I was kind of happy to get back to that because, if you read the Avengers up until then, like, he was such a stickler for, like, weird rules and, like, our bylaws say.
Yeah, it was.
Yeah.
It was like it was beyond the the traditional Steve Rogers of the Boy Scout. It's just like you're just anal retentive. It's just like like every little thing. Well, subsection C of paragraph 2 says this, and it's like what?
Yeah, if anyone wants to question, go look at the Kang storyline that lasted like 80 issues in the Avengers run. Which, don't get me wrong, that's like my favorite run of Avengers.
Yeah.
Except for that, like it's
just, the way that Steve's character was just not good.
Oh man, King the Conqueror, one of the greatest characters, with all the worst stories.
Well,
yeah,
that's Marvel for you.
So yeah, the Civil War stuff at the time was just kind of a breath of fresh air, just because, man. As much as I love the Busiek run on Avengers, the end of it just got so stale. But
yeah, well, and that seems to be Marvel's MO to end a big run or a series like that. It's like build up, and let down.
Yeah, or the give the creative team whatever they want, and then halfway through determine that some other creative team is going to do better. So let's end their stuff right now.
Right. Yeah, like we're going to jump ships midstream.
Yeah.
And then fix it all with time travel. God.
Yeah, which I mean, yeah, there are some stories where that works. One of my absolute favorites, which I know everyone just hates, just because they get into it with the wrong idea. The Age of Ultron. It's the story of how you get to the reset button.
Yeah,
but unfortunately, you're promising everyone like, hey, here's a huge, awesome fight with Ultron.
Yep.
Which you miss the whole fight. You just see the aftermath and massacre.
Right.
Post-fight.
Exactly.
And it's Wolverine and Invisible Woman trying to go back in time and fix the timeline of like, all right, we screwed it up even more. Let's go back further.
Yeah.
Let's go back further.
Yeah. It's the. Let's see. Would that be? That'd be the closed loop theory, correct? Where you have to keep going back and your actions end up like fixing or repairing or changing what happens. Yeah.
Yeah. Very, very much not what they ended up doing with the movies, but
no, which is okay. I'm actually okay with that.
Yeah. I mean, it's more fun that you can do with that.
Yeah.
But
but the way they went about that, like you said, it was like, here could have been this monumental event and really good. And, of course, the way Marvel works, I mean, everything's its own universe pretty much. So, I mean, they could have contained it in their own universe where you had, 80% of the heroes gone.
Yeah.
And just left it at that.
I mean, it worked for what they were doing in X-Men for Age of Apocalypse way back when.
Yeah.
Where they killed off all the X titles for 4 months and put out these new titles that were, hey, what if?
Yeah.
And it would have been kind of cool to see all that happen, which, each issue, a lot of the series got like one issue, but it wasn't the actual issue. It was like, Superior Spider-Man 8 AU, Age of Ultron, Fantastic Four, whatever, Age of Ultron.
Yeah.
So, but I might be partial just because Ultron's, absolutely one of my favorite villains of all time.
Yeah, he definitely is good. It was, I was really, that was one of those I was psyched for the second Avengers movie, and then it was one of those, it's like, you did that? What?
Yeah, turns out, according to the second Avengers movie, the Age of Ultron is 3 days.
Exactly. About that, give or take. Maybe 4.
Yeah, we'll be lenient. We'll give him a week.
Yeah, okay, I'll give him a week.
The week of Ultron. So, but yeah, I divest.
I wanted to go back into the G.I. Joe thing, which will lead us into talking about superhero school a little bit. Because I remember when I was younger, like in our neighborhood, we used to play G.I. Joe.
Oh, yeah.
Like it was
like everyone else did. Yeah.
Yeah. Like it was so much fun. And I remember we finally convinced Buck to do a G.I. Joe superhero school.
Yep.
Which I feel like was the first superhero school where we kind of push the lines a little bit.
Very much so.
Yeah. Against like a purely mainstream comic, a very popular like this is popular at this time.
Oh, yeah.
You know,
sort
comic.
of. I mean, I've had some where it's all right, I'm going to be really greedy and we're going to have, I don't know, Champions Day or something like that. But it was the first time to really divest from a Marvel or DC centric thing.
Well, and you think about it too. I mean, Joe was really more known for the cartoon than it was a comic, even though there was a whole comic basing behind it. It's probably like I know what you're saying, Stephanie. Where it's like that was the one where it was like we really did one based on a TV show, more so than a comic, even though there was a comic book tied to it, and movies as well.
But it was the first superhero school we did. We still do them where they have to be comic based.
Yeah.
But it was so popular.
Well, the first one was weirdly popular because we had 50 adults.
Yeah. We had so many people wanting to be
3
involved.
Kids.
Yeah.
We had like 50 adults like in the back of the store like watching and like, dude, this is awesome. Yeah. And then we had 3 kids who like the kids that were like down sitting watching the thing were like into it.
Yeah.
You know, like I didn't grow up watching G.I. Joe or you know knowing much about it. And the guy that we had for Bazooka, Jared, wasn't able to make it last minute, and he worked so hard making the jersey for that thing.
Oh my gosh, that jersey was amazing. Well, that was the second time.
Oh no, that was the first time.
Was it? Okay.
Yeah, that was the first time because everyone moved heaven and earth to get the helmet and the bazooka.
Yeah,
right.
And then I made the jersey for
and
him.
you made the jersey, and it was
and Jared couldn't make it.
What a shame that this can't do. I was like, what?
He twisted his ankle or something really horrible.
Yeah,
happened.
it was like the guys. I'd love to.
However,
and it was the. I understand.
And then we gave you a crash course.
Yeah, you all gave me like a crash course.
And then you were perfect.
I ended up being the breakout character of the day. I was like, oh, whoops. Because the whole time I was like, I'm just going to play second banana to Snake Eyes. I just know it.
Well, but the thing is, what's the problem with that? I mean, Snake Eyes doesn't talk. So, I mean, you just put Snake Eyes out there. Now, like you said, all the adults are like, oh my God, it's Snake Eyes.
Yeah, but we had like some dreadnoughts. And I mean, like we had this amazing roster.
And they had the purple soda and all that. Like,
the grape soda.
Yeah,
that's right. Yeah.
Because I remember when the grape soda got mentioned, like there was a little pocket that was like, whoa,
yeah. I remember that was one of the first costumes, and I mean, I went all out, like shopping for so many things, like real swords and everything. And like I was Storm Shadow. I'm like, I'm gonna do this right, none of this fake crap, It's just,
Yeah, well, and I was like, you can't draw your sword. He was like, I don't care.
Well, I couldn't anyway. That's when you realize that like animated characters and other stuff that's like, that like comic books is like, this stuff is so poorly designed, like ergonomically, like the way the swords are, like you have to like break your arm just to like draw it. Like, this wouldn't work in real life,
But I love like how it was definitely like the stepping stone for us to be more adventurous in superhero school.
Yeah. Well, and then the second time that we did it, like I was like, all right, so we can be a little bit more cavalier with what we normally do since we're gonna have mostly adults. And then it was like,
is that the one where Flowers went a little too far?
When not Jungle Recon, but what's his actual character?
Oh my gosh.
I gotta remember. He was one of the later ones.
It was. If you watch the,
because he was one of the ones like Steven and I were like, who are you? We're like Joe fans.
If you watch the action figure therapy on YouTube, there's the character that they renamed Jungle Recon.
Yeah.
It's Rakondo.
Yeah, Rakondo.
Yeah, that's the character. Yeah. So he
went a little crazy.
Yeah. But
what was hilarious wasn't he doing an Australian accent and he's from Wisconsin?
He's just doing a weird Southern accent.
That was a Southern accent.
He's from Wisconsin.
Well, but he fell in love with the action figure therapy thing. Yeah. So we were like, all right, we'll give it to you because
it was a whole.
Well, because we were planning on nothing but adults, and then it was like.
Oh, the kids.
20 kids.
Yeah.
They
and then
were
like
so
10 adults.
excited.
Yeah, like the kids that showed up to this one were just like in.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
And that's like the best superhero school where like the kids are like all about it. Like they know everything.
Right. So, the excitement was just up. we didn't mean for it to be. I mean, we always mean for it to be this magical experience, but it was just this.
Yeah,
wow.
there's always the ones that you just never expect, and it just happens, and it's just the way it goes. It's always like, wait a minute, why did that one work? There's other ones you think are going to be huge, and like that was terrible.
But it's like, I feel like if we wouldn't have done that, I don't know if we would have done Turtles.
Yeah,
really.
Probably not.
Yeah. Well, I mean, Turtles were always on the
on the back burner for years.
Well, the biggest thing was you figuring out exactly, okay, how am I going to
how am I going to make the shells?
The shell and make the costume
and not kill everyone.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then it's like when we finally figured it out.
Oh my
gosh, it's just like, what?
Yeah. Yeah. People are coming by like, hey, let me get those patterns. Let me.
Like what?
No,
No.
that was so much work.
Whew. Yeah. So now I just need to figure out Power Rangers and Pokemon, and we'll have a
then we're all set.
Yeah. Let me get back to Brad real quick on the comics, and then I definitely want to get into your superhero school. What are some of your favorite titles? Like, I mean, obviously G.I. Joe.
Yeah, I mean that's one of my favorites for years. I mean, Larry Hama's writing on that has always been one of my favorites, and he carried on too when they did a relaunch. After 155, they started with 156, and the storyline was the same, and so that's always been a favorite. Always will be a favorite of mine.
What did you think about whenever they did crossovers? Did you ever get into those?
I did get into the crossovers. It was one of those that it was, was like when they did the Transformers one first in the 80s, it was like, wow, this is really cool. They're doing the crossover, and it was enjoyable. I liked how they did it. A couple of years ago, when they did the one where they did Mask and Transformers and G.I. Joe.
I thought those were super cool.
They were really cool how they did it. It kind of like brought you back to the way they did it before. So they've done a very good job with it, I think. And so there's always been fun to read and fun to look at. So that's always been good. It's because there's some there's the crossovers are just like it seems like a good idea, but then it almost just like seems forced and just doesn't quite work. But no, I thought they've always done a really good job with those back in the day.
Yeah.
So as far as some other favorites of mine, of course, I've been reading Cap pretty consistently since 2005, even through the Hydra Cap thing. Which, oh man!
So that one
it got resolved okay.
Well, and
it's
if you look at the interviews with Nick Spencer on that one, he was like, "So I had this thing planned, and then Marvel took it. It was like, you're doing what? Here you go. Here's the thing for forever. Cap's always been evil and a Nazi."
Yeah.
And he's like, "No, okay,
Yeah,
you know what? Fine, okay, well." We'll go with it, sure.
Yeah.
And they're like, and he's never going to be good again. And Nick Spencer's like, oh, no, don't say that. Oh,
no, because there again, it goes back to like we talked about with the movies before. You have someone higher up thinking, hey, do this. And you're like, wait a minute. No. That's not how we're going to run this thing.
Right. And then eventually, Nick Spencer was like, all right, guys, I'm getting death threats. I'm just going to wrap this thing up. This
is not working out well.
And he was like, this is the whole idea for the thing. It's coming to a close real quick.
Right.
So just let me have this. And Marvel's like, okay, cool. I think we understand what you're saying. So Captain America is going to use his heart and mind to overthrow evil Captain America. And it's going to be a battle of wills. And no punches will be thrown. And then Nick Spencer was like, they duked it out and old original Captain America beat up the Nazi Cap, and then the Nazi one ran away. So he was like, thanks. But now he's on Spider-Man. He's doing a good job.
Oh yeah, he's doing fine over there.
Yeah, but he got the character of Captain America right, and all of the stuff was very intriguing. It's just when you thrust that spotlight on it, it's not all of this is worth all the gravitas. Yeah.
So
I'll defend that with the. It's good if you go back and read it like now, where there's no
Yeah.
Well,
and the thing is, at least they let Spencer get done what he wanted to get done.
Right.
It wasn't one of those. Here's a big pile. Fix it, and you're just like, why'd you let it get to this point? You know, and there's like almost like no way out except for time travel. Or no, that's a different dimension. It's okay. You know, which is, you know, the go-tos for Marvel.
Yeah.
So I mean, it did end up okay in the end, but yeah, for a while there, man, people were big. I was one of them too.
Yeah.
They were just mad.
It was just one of those like, why would Marvel say that? Because we all know that that's not the thing, and there's no way that could have been the thing without ruining so many stories where he finally took down Hydra.
Exactly.
Because why would he finally take down Hydra and then like, oh, I guess they're back?
Yeah.
Like, there's no way that works.
Now is the time for me to.
Yeah. And all the different leaders of Hydra, like, you know, Kingpin ran Hydra for a while. Like, so. They're
accepting applications. For anybody,
it's weird how Hydras have now and I mean mostly because the movies have been the new stand-in for Nazis, whereas it used to be here's your perfectly formed super villain goon.
Yeah,
you know, like it's here's Cobra, here's whatever, you know, it's the
right.
You know, I need dental and you know, 401k. Cool, sign up there.
Here you go.
hold a laser gun by the door. Get punched in the face.
Yeah.
So,
Anyone can do it. Yeah.
Right.
So it's glad that was resolved. So other things that been some of my favorites. I've been a huge fan of the Wonder Woman run, going all the way back actually to the end of Infinite Crisis. So
the Greg Rucka one, yeah.
Right. So Infinite Crisis is over, and then you have 52, and then the relaunch of the titles.
Yeah, because, man, like, even the 52, 52 got Batman, Justice League, and Wonder Woman, right, and very little else, in my opinion. Yeah, I mean, there's some, like, okay things, but, like, these were the things where it was like, oh, my God, this is the best it's been in years.
Right, yeah. So that'd have been, what, 06 when they relaunched Wonder Woman? Or 05 or 07.
Oh God,
I'm losing track of time.
Yeah, it was.
But anyway, but right after that, I mean, so going back even that far, I mean, and just, you know, of course, they went to, of course, it was Donna Troy for a while, and then they went back to Diana Prince, and you know, there's been some writer changes, but I think regardless, even through all that, has been a really good run. You know, the way that they've worked storylines and everything, and even, you know, switching which Wonder Woman it was. It's been really good for the last decade. I mean, I know it's at least been 10 years, and it's been a really great run, a lot of fun. And then, like you said, you know, and then the Batman after they, you know, after Infinite Crisis and 52 and that stuff, you know, it's, you know, the Batman run since then has just been incredible, regardless of who's been on it and writing it and doing it. It's just been
like even Detective's been great, and it's rare to have both be great at the
right, because
like,
it's usually one or the other ends up kind of have, you know, there's a dominant storyline in one versus the other that's really good.
Yeah, because I mean, way back when you'd have like Rucka and Brubaker on, you know, Batman or Detective, and they'd trade off, and then they kind of muddied the waters, and then you know, finally we got back to the no, both are good.
Yeah. So that's been really good. You know, the last few years, going through that.
Man,
I'm trying to think what else is.
Well, how's this?
That's the favorites. I mean, we'll just leave it at that, because I mean, otherwise we can devolve into like a whole bunch of other stuff.
Right.
Know,
so you and I have been friends for so long that it feels like it's just always been there.
14 years.
Yeah, I don't remember. Like, it's such a permanent thing in my life that I don't remember what got you involved in the story. Like, I remember you come in and, you know, we'd always, you know, talk and hang out, but like, I don't remember the this, you know?
So let me tell you a little story, kids, about how I started coming here. So, it was 2005. And that was the time I was getting back into comics. And I remember walking into the store one day. And it was set up completely different, by the way.
Yes.
You still had the back section over there and into the other storefront. The shelving was all set up different and everything.
Oh yeah.
But I remember coming in, and there were some things I was looking for, and was also looking for recommendations and, you know, what to also get into, and nobody helped me.
Oh
Yeah. I'm pretty sure you were not there at the moment. But yeah, I walked into the store and literally nobody said anything to me. Nobody helped me. Nobody talked to me.
Yeah, that's horrific. I mean, this is before I took over. So
Yes, this is before you took over. This was under previous ownership, and so yeah, it was kind of one of those. It's like, well, and at the time I worked just down the street, you know, so I was like 2 minutes away, and so it's like, there was every time I'd get home at night, down the south side, Atomic Pop is down by my house, but they're always closed.
Yeah.
Because it's the hours that comic book stores keep and whatnot. So it's like, it's if I was going to get back in, it had to be
kind of had to be us. Yeah.
It had to be here. So something, I don't know if it was the next week or when it was, but I came back in and I was like, all right, let's go look again. We'll give this another run. And that's where I came in and got the familiar greeting that you always tell people going forward. It's like, hey, can I help you find anything today?
Yeah.
And so it was like, and that's what started. It's like, well, I've got a list, here's what I'm looking for. There's a couple things I'm trying to get. And also, what else should I be reading? And it's like, well, here's this Captain America #1 from, from Brubaker. It's a really good run. I think they were maybe up to issue 5 or 6 at the time, because that had relaunched, I think, in January of that year. So
I think you're right. Yeah.
Yeah. So it was, so that was what got me into the store, and then just kept coming back. And yeah, I mean, I can't really remember, what, other than just continually stopping in here every week.
Yeah.
Because my routine was, it's either Wednesdays or Fridays, depending on the week. And I'd go eat at Pizza Hut and then come over here.
Yeah.
Or sometimes I'd come over here and then go to Pizza Hut. Either way. But yeah, so that was, that's what started that. But yeah, like you're saying, it's like, I don't remember like what really
because
got everything.
You've just been just a fixture here.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because I mean, you predate, superhero school, which, it's one of those where, the store really just kind of changed as that came about. Like there's that year leading up to it when we got a little bit more involved in costumes and that kind of thing, and we started doing more events.
Like
right.
Roblox.
Yeah.
Yeah, the original store, or my original store mascot. Yeah. Yeah, he's on the back of the business cards, and
Josh and Sam
on the on the business cards, or the con T-shirts, he's that character. But leading into it, and then your kids were always the mainstays for superhero school.
They were the originals. Yeah, they were.
And now they're in it.
It's very traumatic how old your children are now to me.
Yeah, it's so weird because like I remember Abby just barely being able to see over the counter.
Well, because I mean, you got to think at the time. Okay, so when that all started, so Abby would have been 10, and Hannah would have been 7.
Yeah.
And so then Lydia, of course, this is Superhero School, so that's 2012.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And then Lydia was 1.
I remember, because at my wedding, we were worried about Lydia and my niece Vivian because they were the new babies.
Right, because because Lydia was 2.5, because that was 2013.
Yeah.
Right? I don't have to remember. That's your job to remember. I'm pretty sure I was close. Yeah, all I know is I was in remission by then, so it had to been 13 at least, because I was done with everything. But both girls were extremely young still at the time.
I mean, like when you first started coming in, like I remember
when I first started coming in, Hannah was just born.
Well, I remember that because I remember Abby just not quite seeing over the register, and so sweet with her big giant glasses.
And now she's 5'11".
Yeah.
And Hannah's 5'10".
Yeah. Your girls are going to take over the world. I swear to God.
Well, Lydia is for sure.
Well,
yeah.
I keep trying to break her.
We've known that.
That's why Jackson Compton and I are scared of her.
Yeah.
I'm trying to stay on her good side.
For years, I think we've known that.
Yeah. So I mean, I brought up superhero school and your involvement because I remember, you got involved for the very first time because I begged you and more or less commanded you to be Groot.
Was that it, or was I Reed first?
You were Groot first.
Oh God, I do not remember him being Groot
Well,
ever.
that ended up coming out of necessity,
Yeah.
wasn't it? Because that was we had whoever was supposed to do it ended
Yeah.
up being something happened, and they were like super late.
Oh,
and-
it was Jackson. Yeah.
Oh,
yeah,
that's right.
Because it was the we open the doors in 30 seconds. Hop in.
yeah, because we had like no option at this point in time, and we had to put someone in the suit.
Okay.
Yeah,
Yeah. I feel like that was before Fantastic Four. Oh man, we'll have to go back and check.
we'll have to check the archives.
Yeah.
you know my memory is not good anymore.
Yeah,
so
but
it's-
I feel like Fantastic Four was right after that because oh my god, I forgot about how awful being in that thing suit was.
Yes.
Oh, it's such a nightmare. And yeah, the Groot suit at the time. Oh my god.
But
well, but at the time though, I mean, it was because that was when you had taken the first step from when you did the
cardboard and duct tape.
original Guardians that we did
Yeah,
to the second incarnation of the suit, which was more like the
the movie. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So it's yeah, I don't remember when that was though, but I've been
I mean, it was around the time of the movie, whenever that was. So I don't know.
2014.
Yeah. Oh, it can't be that recent, can it? God, we've been doing this too long.
I don't know. We'd have to let the.
Throwing dates on things.
Whoops.
Voice of God, what have you got? All right, so 2014.
Okay, so yeah,
All
so
right,
that'd be about right. Okay.
Yeah, so I think you might be right about the Fantastic Four. I think it may have been Reed first. So
Okay.
yeah,
Well, but that would have been
that was 2 years into starting.
right. So
superhero
you're 2
school.
years in.
So it's about the time that I started doing more foam stuff. So
Right. When that was when you were really trying to make the leap and the morphing of the costumes and stuff like that, and we were
Yeah.
trying to improve everything. And that was also the time where, I was finally past everything.
Yeah.
With all my treatments and everything, and so I finally was starting to feel better, and it's like, hey, let's, try to get more involved in stuff and actually get into things because I actually felt like doing stuff again.
yeah,
Yeah.
if you don't mind, let's talk about that because a lot of people don't know what all you went through way back when.
That's probably the other thing that people don't know outside of me being from Wisconsin.
Well, yeah,
Yeah.
well, because I mean, we're very good friends, and a lot of it has to do with. Here, you go ahead.
Okay, so all in 2012, right as superhero school starting.
Yeah.
That was the beginning of May. So it was May of 2012, and the end of that month was when I was diagnosed with colorectal cancer.
Yeah,
And so that started out the whole process of, okay, here you've got this, and here's how we're going to deal with it. So starting out in 2012, I went through 6 weeks, had daily radiation, plus I was on chemotherapy 24/7. So I walked around
with your little
with my pump and
with your fanny pack that
hooked
I
up, which
always made fun of.
was it a drunk sale, or what was it? Where I came in was offering people free chemo.
That was an anniversary sale.
Oh
Was
my
it an anniversary
gosh.
sale? Yeah.
That
It's like, anyone
reminds
chemo?
me.
Hey, you want some?
Yeah.
I'm willing to share. You
Yeah.
know? It's
Yeah.
like, anyone want to poison themselves along with me?
Yeah.
So it's
Yeah. Oh my gosh.
so
Yeah.
which that was interesting getting used to that. Having that attached to you every day.
Well, because you would just randomly beep.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
That's right. Yeah. It's like,
Which was just like, what was that?
don't worry. It's not beeping profusely. So
Yeah.
it's okay.
Yeah, because anytime you were around, I was like, "Don't worry, he's just about to go off."
Yeah. You have time to run still.
Yeah.
It's,
Which was one thing that was awesome is you had like the best doctor.
yeah, because you had the best doctor as well for your
Which was
surgery.
one thing that was awesome is somehow he decided to retire before he turned 50. But that was one thing that really got us to be better friends.
Right, because we both had the same intestinal surgeon.
Yeah.
So, which was great because that was round 2. So after I got done with all the first round of treatments, then it was moving on to, okay, we've got this to our point now, and now you get to have surgery. We're gonna go inside and we're gonna like take whatever left is out, and we're gonna reconstruct you and put you back together.
Right.
So, yeah. So overall in general, I'm missing a third of my large intestine. I think once everything was all said and done. But the really neat thing about it, and like Stephanie was saying, Dr. Davis was, I don't know if he's best in the country, but definitely the best in the region as far as
For sure.
any type of internal, especially like intestinal type of surgery. I mean, he's incredible. And not that Dr. Barati is bad. And I know that they worked together for years. And so they're both very capable and very good. But it was one of those. So yeah, so that was, and the cool thing about it is like all of my stuff was done because I got accepted into a trial. And so it was all done minimal invasion. So most people that go through what I go have a big giant scar that like goes up and down their abdomen. And I was able to avoid that, and if I had to do it, I would have done it.
Right.
But it was, Davis was one of the ones that was working on that for the United States to trying to get that procedure approved. And I'm pretty sure it did go through. I haven't checked in a while because I haven't had to, but
Yeah.
So
Yeah, that's not a thing. You're like, hey, let me look into this. Wait, you want to do what now? No.
Yeah. You're like, I'm good.
Yeah. You've taken enough.
right, yeah. So then I have the surgery, and then I ended up with, of course, after the surgery, because they completely reconstructed everything inside, and so you have to have that heal, and so I ended up having a ileostomy for a while, which is where you get a bag and you're cut off at your small intestine, and so that was interesting as well, trying to get used to that for a few months, and it's one of those. I mean, and you make it work. It's just the way things go. I mean, people live entire lives with ostomies and things like that.
Well, and I mean, I remember, you'd come up here and complain about the thing. I was like, well, it beats the hell out of the alternative.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So, but then, of course, then during all that, then I have a second round of chemotherapy that lasted from, October till January of 2013. So then of course, then they went back in and they reversed the ileostomy, took everything in. So, full internal resection, and, been in remission for almost 7 years now, 6.5.
Yeah.
So,
Man, that's crazy.
Yeah.
But I remember you coming in and just complaining that like no one treated you normal, and I was like,
oh God, yeah.
Yeah. Well, because my dad went through testicular cancer.
Right.
He not unlike Hitler, is missing the left one.
That's right.
Yeah.
He eats chicken and popcorn now.
Oh my God! Yeah, well, because while you're on chemo, like there are just certain
it changes things that and how they taste and everything. So
and like he's just triggered now by the smell of chicken or popcorn. Like I don't think he's stepped foot in the theater in 20 years.
Yeah,
just because no popcorn, can't do it.
Yeah, no.
And chicken was the only thing that he could eat during it. So now that he's done, he's like,
your body's like, I'm done with this.
Yeah, he says like if it's in something, like he can do like chicken noodle soup, but like that's the closest.
Right.
To
Yeah,
it.
you can't just plop a big,
like
chicken breast.
Yeah,
in front
you can't
of
have a hunk of chicken. Like he will not.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I remember you saying like, oh man, people treat you different, and I was like, I know how that goes because everyone just will be super weird around you, and like I'll pray for you.
Okay, great. Thank you.
Praying for you, and they
and you appreciate that, but at the same time,
but they end the conversation there. Like,
it's
shut up.
People, it's it's like, look, I understand I'm dealing with this, but it's like, and because that was the thing, people are very surprised to find out, that I worked through the entire treatment.
Right.
Other than when I medically was not allowed to go to work, which was from my surgery in September of 2012 to middle of October in 2012.
Yeah.
And Dr. Davis was like, you're not going back to work. I'm not going to release you back to work for at least 5 weeks, if not longer, But I mean, other than that, I was going in and day out, and I remember being called in my boss's office one time, and he was like, and the HR lady standing there. So I'm just like, uh-oh.
Yeah.
And, thankfully it wasn't like 2 months ago, it was, but anyway, he's like, looks at me, he's like, what are you doing here? And I said, look, I don't feel horrible. And at least being here, I can feel normal.
Yeah.
You know, you can feel like it's like, I'm not going to sit at home and just like,
Yeah.
I've got cancer.
Man,
got
how about that
treatments.
cancer? Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. You know, and it's like, if you can go through and like, yes, you're dealing with something, but at the same time, life goes on day to day, everything just keeps going, and it's just, normal, so to speak. Yeah. So it's like, so to come in and see you.
Yeah. I was like, man, how about that pain in the ass?
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah. Because it was you got to joke about it because like everyone's way too serious about it.
Yeah.
Do you remember when you made chemo?
Oh yeah.
Costume almost died in from CO2 poisoning.
Well, but so the day you came in and were like, hey, I'm in remission. I got the chemo Build-A-Figure from DC.
Yeah.
I was like, hey, here you go.
Yeah, that was.
Like I had him already. It was the here.
I thought you were talking about the
Oh no, I was
costume.
talking about the actual costume.
Yeah, but no, because that was January. Because I
Yeah.
came in on my last day of treatment and I was done, and so I had the doll or the figure. Yeah, dolls, yeah.
I was ready.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
So-
But then there was the costume, which we could have done better.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, like we've now figured out how and why, but
Yeah, I'm actually. I probably had a better chance of dying in that thing than I did from everything I went through.
I mean, probably. I mean, it was made out of bubble wrap and
Some paint.
and paint and had no ventilation.
Well, because you had to keep the air in. Yeah. So yeah, you may have died.
Yeah, but I didn't. So hey, which could have been there again another good idea for superhero school that didn't quite go
Yeah.
the way we had expected.
Yeah. Had we known that there was little tiny perforations along the bubble wrap that would have let all the air out. Yeah.
Well, but not
'Cause-
entirely because there was enough CO2 buildup in there that
I mean, you stayed mostly inflated for half of it,
You know,
and then quickly deflated.
lesson learned.
Yeah.
yeah.
But we're going to try our hand at that again.
Yeah, we got better ideas this
Yeah.
time on that one. So that was not one of my favorite characters to do. It could have been, but it ended up not being.
I think it was one of those where since the costume was failing, you didn't enjoy it as much.
Well, that and I was
So-
like,
Suffocating.
I was like in hypoxia. I mean,
Well,
for crying out loud.
Listen, I understand that after a while, a sense of euphoria. No, I'll be over here. Yeah, that's right. I tried to kill my friend. Whatever. No,
Not intentionally.
Yeah.
We both willingly did it.
Was it? No, that was another one of those. Like I thought that I had the whole thing figured out, and
We did. We really did. We thought we had it all lined out and planned out, and we just.
yeah, because we did we even did like actual math for it of like space and like air consumption, that kind of thing, and no, we didn't know what we were doing.
I think part of it too was that one ended up taking. That superhero school took a whole lot longer than we expected.
Yeah.
That was one of the
Right, yeah.
last ones out, and I think it was just we were expecting. I think at most like a 45-minute window,
Yeah, and it was
we
like
were
an hour and a
over an
half.
hour,
Yeah.
well over an hour, because we were doing the Legion of Doom interviews.
That's right. Yeah,
Yeah.
So, oh my God, yeah, that lasted for freaking.
Yeah, so
ever.
I don't know which character it was. It like was taking up time. I've got my suspicions trying to remember who it probably was, but
Let's just go ahead and say Dre. People love Killer Moth.
Yeah.
and I
They
blame Flowers as being Lex Luthor for not moving things along.
Oh yeah, yeah, because that was one of the first ones that we didn't use Lori for the.
Yes, because that was your leadership was the interviewers for Legion of Doom.
right. Which
Yeah.
now we have all that figured out.
Yeah. So,
Another
yeah.
lesson learned.
So I've told this story many times, and people still don't believe me, even though I showed them the damn thing.
but me as Plastic Man.
No. Actually, yeah. Before we get into the Fantastic Four story, let's talk Plastic Man, because your Plastic Man has garnered notoriety from the craziest of places. Like they're creators who are like, that is the perfect Plastic Man. Too.
Yeah.
Like yeah. Which
I keep waiting for the call to be cast in the
Yeah.
movie, but it just hasn't happened
it'd be
yet.
so perfect. Which you can see a picture of Brad as Plastic Man here. Yeah, for so long I was like, Brad, you should be Plastic Man. You should be Plastic Man. No, I don't know about this. you should be Plastic Man. No. So finally, I
So this is when you dispatch Dre and George.
yeah, I was like, hey,
Now the other shoe drops.
Yeah.
As far as that all.
it was listen. He won't listen to me about this thing. You all need to
with good reason usually.
Well, there was just that one time. No, yeah. So I found like white glasses.
Yeah.
Yeah, they weren't perfect, but
No,
like
but-
we found, and it was when you put them on and tried it, you're like, okay, I see it. So they finally got you to think, okay, I'll consider it.
Okay, yeah, maybe we can do this. Yeah.
And you're like, well, how do I play him? I said, everything about Jim Carrey's like over the topness, that jackassery, be that.
Yeah, it's zany. I mean, it is. It's one of those that it's. I guess I would say it's probably out of character for me.
It very much is out of like it
That's-
is.
That's
Yeah.
what makes it so great.
Right. Well, because
Like,
I was like,
the contrast.
yeah. Well, because like when you're up there being Mr. Fantastic, like I see. Hey, there's
there's Brad.
There's Brad the engineer.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Who
Like,
has
that's-
the analytical mind that will
Totally Brad.
Or his cap.
and
Yeah.
and then here's Plastic Man, which is. This is absolutely not Brad. Yeah, it's just so neat to see you not be you and like knowing. Okay, so this is where I want to go, but I'm going to go here instead. And
Yeah.
it's just yeah.
Yeah. Of course, and I will say this, that, in doing superhero school, and there have been a number of characters that I enjoy doing, but I mean, that's being him has by far been probably the most fun one and the favorite one to do.
Yeah.
Because you can go so off the wall, and and the thing about it, I mean, most, and I think the kids, one of the things, of course, we always do backstories and stuff
Yeah.
like that. The kids did not realize that, Plastic Man was really Batman's first like successful like
Yeah.
reclamation. It was like he became Plastic Man because he was running from Batman.
Yeah.
And then
in the newer continuity. Yeah.
Yeah, and so it's like, and it's like, okay, so you've been, you realize the error of your ways, and now you become a good guy, although a bit slightly insane, and even more insane after you were like shattered into millions of pieces and
Yeah.
like
But-
hang around for millennia before the Justice League could put you back together again.
Which, speaking of the kids with the realization of Plastic Man, we did get one of the best lines ever.
Which is used every time.
Yeah.
Now.
Why aren't you wearing pants?
No, have you considered wearing
have you
pants?
considered
Have you considered
wearing
wearing pants?
pants?
Yeah, because that's when we did it at Toyco.
Yeah.
And I want to say, was it one of Adam Conklin's daughters, I think?
It may have
that
been,
asked
yeah.
it? Because it was,
It was just very like matter of fact and like
yeah. And
Yeah.
it's like, wow. I mean, that just totally
all
takes
of the-
you out of like,
because you're ready for like well, why were you a bad guy? What does
Right,
like you're ready for those.
what are all your powers? What can you do?
Yeah,
and
it's the yeah. Wow.
have
why
you ever
haven't
considered,
I? Yeah.
consider wearing pants?
And, yeah, which you had the perfect answer of no.
Yeah. And I feel like maybe one time you were wearing your wedding ring.
Oh,
Well, but Plastic Man is married
so,
though.
yeah.
Okay.
So it works okay. Yeah, I did mess that up one time. Yeah, I did wear
and
my
I mean,
ring.
like that brings on like so now we have to pay attention to like if people are
Right.
wearing their wedding rings.
Right.
And
Yeah. Pants and wedding rings.
yeah.
You got to make sure.
Oh, I forgot who you were playing, but yeah, you left the wedding ring on. You're like, no,
Well, it was
it's-
Plastic Man.
Oh, was it?
Yeah,
Okay.
I'm pretty sure it was Plastic Man.
Yeah, but it was the yeah. We
like
have
kids
to, yeah.
like hone in on these
Yeah.
like very specific things.
Yeah, you don't realize sometimes, and that's the thing. It's like it's the random stuff that they notice that they ask, and thankfully at least, Plastic Man is married.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so it's like, well, I'm married.
Yeah.
It's I'm not the ladies' man anymore.
Yeah.
It's just it's so yeah, it's that stuff. You got to make sure that's like if a character is not married, yeah, you better make sure that you're hiding it or you've taken it off.
Yeah.
Because it's the stuff like that you'll get the why are you doing that? What's that? It's so yeah, it's
Yeah, or if you're in a costume that's very constrictive, you want to take it off anyway because, like, I've lost this thing in the thing suit so many times.
Oh yeah, you can't take it off by yourself, in normal circumstances.
Yeah.
But by golly, you get the right costume,
Yeah.
and that thing's gone, and you're like,
Yeah.
oh no,
Yeah,
where'd it go?
let's search the. Yeah. I forget who was in the. Someone was standing in for the group suit on one of the event days, and they lost their ring in it, and I was like, well, we'll have to sort that out.
I don't remember
Yeah.
that one, but yeah, it's not surprising.
Yeah, it was the all right. Well, let's get digging.
We'll find it. Yeah, we'll get there eventually. But yeah, the thing about the pants costume has led to every time I do Plastic Man now, somewhere in there I will work in. I just want to give everyone an update. I have considered wearing pants and leave it at that.
Yeah.
Just because the
Yeah,
question was,
there's no
have you
answer.
considered it? I have considered it, and just leave it at that. And there was one time I think I even went down and said, down with pants.
Yeah.
It's just
And the kids were like, yeah, I hate pants.
that's right, kids. Shorts are the way to go.
Yeah, it gets real done real quick. But yeah, but it stays fun.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, because there was one time too. I remember running over to the store and showing how few Plastic Man costumes.
Oh, right.
It's yes, you can't even keep them in stock. That's how popular I am.
and the kids just weren't buying it.
No, unfortunately not. Yeah, that they don't notice or get. But pants and a wedding ring. They're right on
They're
that.
yeah. Yeah. Oh, so there's one thing that I wanted to wrap this up on, and I've told the story countless times, and there's a lot of people that don't believe the generosity, the Fantastic Four story, and then the follow up, the X-Men 1 story. So back in back when you were just
Back when I had a job.
yeah, customer Brad Cage, you were looking for a Fantastic Four #1,
Yes.
and I always had one. I bought one here on my my 16th birthday,
Yep.
and then I got a job 6 months later. I'm pretty sure that they didn't correlate, but they may have. But and then from there I got the full run, and then somewhere around 2011, 2012, I decided that it was time to propose to my girlfriend that I loved very much.
Does Keara know about this?
Oh yeah, yeah, she's totally cool. No, so yeah, my wife Keara. For those who've watched all the episodes, whatever, she was one of the early episodes, which I'm sure can be linked to right here, right, Brad?
He's like, no.
He's like, no, I'm not doing that.
No.
So, yeah, and the store was hit with there was something going on that money was just really tight, and it was the I had to wait for Keara to finish her master's degree, and all the money that I had saved for the ring, had to get sunk back in the store, and I was like, I have to get this ring. So I sold you my Fantastic Four #1, and oh my God, it almost killed me. Like it's weird to love a thing that much. Pardon the pun. Yeah. But it was, I came into this place that I loved, and I it was my first major purchase. It was me essentially declaring my future. It was everything that, embodied what I loved about comics, because that issue was the beginning of the Marvel Universe. It was the beginning of comic books, really. You had Flash and Batman and Superman. Those were beginning the Silver Age, but this is the thing that really cemented it as this is the direction that comic books are going from now on.
Right.
This is it.
Yeah, because that was the beginning of when Marvel starts out. You have the Fantastic Four,
Yeah.
and then the Avengers.
Yeah,
there's Captain America gets relaunched, and then the
'cause-
Hulk comes out and Spider-Man and all that.
Yeah,
but it was kicked off by
with this because Stan Lee was going to quit comics entirely unless he got to do this. He was like,
Right.
I'm so sick of doing these things. I want to try this. And they were like, sure, whatever, give it a shot. And it was a hit.
Yes.
And because of that, like, without that book,
Marvel isn't Marvel.
Yeah, DC isn't DC. Nothing is here. Comics are all westerns and funny animal stuff.
Nobody's copying each
And-
other.
Yeah. Well, or everyone's overcopying
Deadpool's
each
not
other. Yeah.
Deathstroke.
There's no Deadpool, there's no Deathstroke. Like, this Fantastic Four is the end all.
There's no
be-all.
Incredibles movie from Pixar.
Oh, yeah, there's nothing. But like this book means all of that to me. And I don't think that anyone really knew like how integral this particular book was. But it was marrying Keara meant more to me than that, and it was okay, yep, I just made that realization. Yes, life is more important than comic
than
book.
thing.
Yeah, which and then the week before my wedding, you pulled my wife aside.
Oh, it would have been. I don't think it was the exact week before because you got married in late September.
Yeah, we were.
And I want to say it was.
Was it like a month before? Like
give or take, maybe Labor Day weekend or something like that.
Yeah. So.
And I mean, and yeah, that's when I clued her in.
Yeah, because
because I knew about it.
Yes, it was at the point where there was a select group.
Yeah.
That started to know of like key people that were being informed as to what was going to happen.
Yeah, and
which amazingly, like people knew about it, and
Yeah.
you didn't find out about it.
Stephanie was one. George was one. I think Than knew. Keara knew beforehand.
Yeah. Well, and we were planning.
I don't remember if I told Shane or not.
Yeah. You
Like
probably
I said, the memory's fuzzy because that's post 2012. Which, for those of you that want to know, we've talked about the memory thing here and there. Unfortunately, one of the side effects of chemotherapy is there's short-term memory loss. So I'm actually amazed I can remember as much stuff as I do. It's pre-2012. I'm good. But anyway,
I would say you probably told Shane.
Probably.
Shane, just because we had a destination wedding just because.
Buck didn't want everybody there.
Well, we couldn't afford everyone there because Keara has a massive family, and I have.
You and I have like 10 people in our family total.
Right, and then I have more friends than I can count.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And Keara says, "We're inviting family." I said, "What about friends that are family?" And she says, "Like who?" I said, "I want the Stones. I want the Cages. I want Father Shane."
And of course, and Steve was in your wedding party. So
and then there's my groomsmen.
Which they count, but they don't count. But
but they were inevitably part of the thing. And then because she said you have 30 people, whatever, which is huge for a destination wedding, but still, it was
not terrible. I mean, it's decent. It's a good number.
So.
Not like it told 100 people, "Hey, we're
right.
coming here."
Well, and then we had the shindig here
next week.
The next week,
yep.
Where it was, here's everyone. Here's the reception for everyone. Come party with us. We'll hang out. But yeah, so it was. Keara at the time didn't really know you all that well.
No, because she was still. Buck's wife or Buck's fiance. She
wasn't so involved up here, so she didn't know anyone. So to her, it was why did you invite that family, and the priest, who was not officiating the wedding?
Yeah,
but is
but he could have, by golly, he was ready to go. I'll tell you that.
Turns out he wasn't able to officially, but could have officiated it as just a different person, not a priest, but
right, he couldn't have done it in his actual Catholic priest capacity.
Well, since I'm not Catholic, yes,
and it's.
But he could have done it as my friend,
right?
So,
which is a Father Shane story about why the girls were at Mount St. Mary too, by the way.
So. Oh yeah,
which we can get into that.
Let's save that for the next time you're on. Yeah, because we're gonna have Abby, but later. But yeah. Anyway, so you're at the wedding with
Well, can we go back to like? So let me
go
tell
ahead.
you where all this started. Okay, so I'm trying to. Who did I buy the X-Men one from first?
Galen,
That was
but
Galen.
that was
right.
after.
That was at.
That's after the
Was
wedding.
that after or before?
That's definitely after.
Okay.
Yeah, because that's how we're going to finish this thing up.
Okay.
Yeah.
Again.
Okay.
Timeline gets kind of
Yeah.
fuzzy. We're in the alternate timelines, you know. So,
So
Somebody has a
okay.
mustache.
So
we're there at the
so
wedding.
we're going back in time.
Okay.
We're gonna go back to when this all first started.
Okay.
So again, my friend Paul, who I've known Paul since, let's see, I would have been 10, he'd have been 9. He's one of my oldest friends. We lived across the alley from each other, and so we've been influences on each other's lives, and so we've been involved with each other for years. So he's arguably one of my best friends, and one of my oldest friends.
Yeah.
So we're going back to 2007. So it's 2007, and he comes down here with his wife, and we are going to Wizard in Dallas.
Oh, that's right.
And you were there as well.
Yeah.
And so Paul is a huge Fantastic Four fan. I mean, as much as this
Yeah.
guy is. Their favorite comic, everything, and so they love it. So we were looking for any older FF comics, are they in good shape and whatnot? And of course, obviously, if you can get into FF1, that's the ultimate part of it. So on this trip is when we find out that Paul's wife, Jill, is pregnant with their first daughter. And so I had talked to Sarah about this and said, how do we figure out how to find an FF #1 for Paul to help celebrate them having their first kid?
Yeah.
And so that was the original hatching of the plan, was trying to find that issue for Paul. And so I was trying to, and you were helping me since 07. That's when you got involved, because we were trying to track it down.
I had found a couple, but there was none of them the right condition and price.
Right, because it was, the price never matched the condition. Either it was overpriced and crappy condition, or
it was just crappy and super crappy condition.
Right, it's
and
like
it was super cheap, but not nice enough to.
Yeah, it's one of those. It's like,
Technically, it's all there in a bag.
Exactly. Yeah, it's like, of course, the random thought on this. That years ago there was, Michael Waltrip was a NASCAR racer. There was a Napa ad that he did where a guy's having him sign all this stuff, and he's got pieces of vehicles. And there was one that, like, Michael Waltrip had a race one time. He wrecked it, and he dumps all these parts on the tables. Like, just sign one of the big ones. It's like, that was some of the comics that we were finding. It's just like, you want me to pay $1,000 for that?
For most
for
of that?
confetti?
Yeah.
It's like I said, it's all in the bag. So. Yeah. So that was the start of it. Was we started looking and trying to find the right one. So that was the original hatching of the plan, was to get this for my friend Paul. And so time goes, and like you said, we're not finding the right one. Just the whole mix of things aren't working out. And so you knew that I had wanted this issue. I don't think you knew that I was getting it for Paul. I don't think you remember that part. So it was, okay, here, are you still interested in Fantastic Four #1? I said, yes, I am. And it was, okay, I need to sell mine. And I'm like, why are you selling yours? And I'm trying to remember when I found out why you were selling it. I don't think you told me originally.
Not initially, because I knew that you'd shoot me down, for that.
Yeah, because I'd have just given you the money for the ring.
Right.
So you didn't tell me. That was it. You asked me if I was still interested in it, and did not tell me why.
Yeah.
And so that was like, okay, yeah, I'm still interested. You got to sell for some reason. That's fine. And so I agreed to purchase it. And then you threw in the Avengers #1 as well with a
missing Hulk.
the what do I call it? It's the variant
Yeah,
cover
the
with
variant
with
cover.
the Invisible Hulk.
Yeah.
Yes.
It's probably a very fine copy. Like
the book's in great shape except for the Hulk
someone
is
went
missing.
straight up the bottom and cut out only the Incredible Hulk.
Right. So we joke that that's the Invisible
Yeah.
Hulk. It's the variant edition with the Invisible Hulk.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah,
So-
I threw that in for the
Yeah. Which now, I mean, it's becoming valuable just because it's one of the few remaining.
yeah.
You
Well,
know,
yeah.
it's-
I mean, in the condition, it's worth about what you gave for the both. So
Yeah.
yeah.
So anyway, so I buy this from Buck. I agree to get it from him, and it couldn't have been long after because I had it, and I found out why you were selling it, and all of a sudden I was just like, oh crap. So I talked to Sarah, and I said. And we both agreed on this, I said, he's buying this to get things in order and so he can get the ring for Keara. I said, I can't in good conscience keep this thing. And she agreed. And she said, no, no, we can't do this. It needs to go back somehow. And I said, okay, well, let me think about it. And of course that was before I got sick.
Yeah.
So that was well before that. And so it was kind of one of those, it's like, how do we do this? How do we get it back and whatnot? And it came down to, all right, he's getting this back at the wedding, and so it was like, all right, well, how do we do this and how do we present it and whatnot? And so I ended up, I can't remember how long I had to work to rehearse that speech and memorize it. Cause like I said, the memory was not great. And so I had to have it. And, so as it's getting closer, I start telling people, and, I said, cause everyone knew that I'd bought it from you. I mean, word had gotten out that I had it. Cause I remember bringing it for Superhero School. We did Fantastic Four.
That's
I
right.
the FF #1. And so it was like, and so I was like, yeah, I said, I'm going to give it back to him. And everyone's like, you can do what? And they're like, yeah. I said, do you know why he sold it to me in the first and why he had to sell it? And then everyone's like, everyone's like, oh yeah. You get it. So we get to the wedding and I had spent a lot of time trying to find also a way to present it. And so it was like, all right, well, they make frames to where, you can put things in, but they call them floating. They're floating inside there, so you can see all the edges and the corners and everything. And so that's what I ended up doing. Of course, at the time, I didn't get the protective glass or anything like that.
Yeah.
I think you were going to look for something like that, or I don't know how you're storing it now. It's probably in a closet somewhere.
It's
But-
safe currently.
No pun intended.
Yeah.
That's where mine. Who's in my house too? So it's so we get to the wedding, and I mean it's there, and even there, I think Keara, and by this time her maid of honor knew.
Okay.
Her friend knew. Shane knew, or we're gonna say at least he did. And Than knew. Steve didn't know, your parents didn't know, her parents didn't know. I don't think anybody else knew outside of my family and those Stones didn't know.
Yeah.
And so
And I'm absolutely clueless. Because I mean, I don't know if y'all know this about me. I'm pretty, out there, and nothing has to be a rigid, strict schedule, whatever. If someone wants to interrupt my wedding, okay, cool. Everyone's there. We're all having a good time. Sure.
I mean, as long as Keara knows about it, that's what's important.
Yeah, that was the important part. I cleared it with the right person before I did this. So I all of a sudden, I can't remember what portion it was during the reception, what time we get up there, but so I get up and I'm standing behind you because Than had to know because I needed the microphone from Than,
Right.
so that people could actually hear, and there is video proof of this, by the way, folks.
Somewhere.
Drew Stone has it.
There's some pictures too.
Yeah.
Of you crying.
Oh yes. Oh, I ball. But anyway,
Yeah.
Yeah.
We're digressing.
So I end up just standing behind you, and you're kind of like, hey, what's going on here?
Hello, my friend. Yeah.
And so then I go into the speech about first of all, I declare why I have the right to be up there, and that's the right of cancer.
Well,
it's like I can do what I want pretty much within legal reason.
Yeah, you're like, I survived this damn thing, and I remember you saying he helped me get through it, and it was I didn't realize I was that. Like I was like, I'll be I was more than happy to be your friend and not be weird about it.
Yeah.
But it was I didn't realize it was that much. So, but yeah, go ahead.
Yeah. So, and it's, I go through my whole spiel, which I'm forgetting at the moment, but we figure that out later.
Yeah.
But yeah. So then, by this point, I think Keara started crying.
She started crying.
Yeah, because she knew, and of course, apparently, it had like some really like touching speech and everything that like everyone loved.
I was tearing up. I was like, "Wow, I'm very moved." Yes, our friendship does mean a lot. You are like a brother to me. Like I love you. Yes.
Yeah.
And then you're holding this.
Yeah, I pick up the it's wrapped. Yeah.
Yeah, and it's you're like, "Hey, do you know what this is?" I said, no,
it's like here you go.
I figured it was like some stupid picture of us that's hilarious because that's the kind of we're good enough friends that if the tables were turned and whatever, I would have a very fun stupid picture of us.
Right?
Yeah, here's us being idiots. Here's the great which
which is just a picture of us right now.
Yeah, yeah. So you're like, here, open it right now.
Yeah. Yeah, and I remember I remember you pulling back, and then the
yeah,
and then it was just there. Here it comes. I mean, it just here come the waterworks. I mean, it was.
Oh my God! Well, because it was it is true love. I sent it away and it came back.
You came back to me.
Yeah.
And I remember just the rest of the room that didn't know just being like totally stunned and floored.
Yeah.
And it's
oh my God,
yeah.
So it's absolutely one of those like life-changing like, oh, okay, this was cool and amazing. I need to change how I do things here. I've been given this, and all of this is based on, like how I acted with one person. If whatever I was doing was that cool, I need to do more of that. So that's where trying to start doing the charities and that kind of thing around here started from that. So yeah, you've had that impact on you doing that act of kindness has prompted me to go out and try my damnedest to be worthy of that. So you changed my life directly from that, and hopefully many others that we hopefully have improved on. But then Galen, who will be here in October.
Oh, he's coming back?
He's coming back briefly.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah. He was like, I want back in on superhero schools. I want on the podcast. I was like, dude, yeah, totally.
Yeah, no problem.
Yeah. Yeah. A friend that is like a brother to me.
Mm-hmm.
Like I love this man. So he ends up with an X-Men #1 just out of absolutely nowhere. Just he
ended up getting like quite a few. Like he had a huge find.
Yeah, like some he called someone or someone got in touch with him that like, hey, we have a box of comics, and it was raining that day, and they were moldy on top and just gross, and the lady was like, I just want them gone. Give me $25 or $50, like next to nothing. He was like, okay. So like he was moving a heavy box for her, and she made a little bit of money. Like that's how,
yeah, she had no idea.
So happy to get rid of them. And then she had moved, and then Galen didn't mess with them for a little bit or something. And then he came in and was like, hey, let's unpack these.
Right.
So we started unpacking things, and there was some absolute trash, and here's a falling apart Casper, here's some Jerry Lewis comics that are falling apart. Hey, some of these lower further down are in better shape. Like, oh, here's some old westerns. Oh my God, here's an X-Men 10.
Yeah.
And then we kept going through, and then he backed off and says, hey, Buck, do you know what comic that is? And I look inside the box. I was like, oh, my friend, that is an X-Men #1.
Yeah, didn't she have like, it was like 1 through 10 was in the box.
Right, and then everything else was kind of crap.
Yeah.
So, but and he looked at it, and he had just gotten into like seriously collecting, and he thought, I can't have this because I know what my I need to use this for my future. He says, do you know anyone who might want it? I said, well, I know a guy who definitely changes lives. So he ended up selling it to you, and he took the money that he got from that, and he and his wife moved out of state.
And that's when they moved to go to college, right?
And they had been through college, but they went back to school, and now that now they're out of country, and they're about to come back finally. But it's been this insane.
Which that was just so crazy, like how he was able to use that money, and then they completely changed.
Oh wow! See, I didn't know that part. Really, that part of the story.
Yeah,
man.
They used that money to completely change their lives.
Yeah, like you've.
Or I feel like maybe she went to school with that money, or I don't remember
know that he
exactly.
Did, yeah. Well, we'll find out in October.
Yeah, but I mean, like, it was this insane, crazy story.
Yeah, because like the amount that the book was like almost to the dollar the exact amount that they needed for going to school, moving, it funded everything that they needed.
Oh, wow.
Like, it was so crazy.
Yeah. So, hey, Brad, you're an amazing person, and we all love you.
I do remember now when I bought that, because that was when I was going through treatments. That was 2012 when I got that. So yeah, it
was right out. Yeah,
FF predated that one, but yeah, that's when I bought that, because that was kind of like, you know what? I don't care. I'm buying this.
Yeah,
Yeah,
well, because it was right before you gave it that. Yeah, so yeah, it was amazing.
Wow.
Yeah. So yeah, I thought you knew.
No, I didn't realize it went that far.
Yeah, man, you entirely changed their lives.
Holy cow.
Yeah. So, now when he like hug tackles you, you'll know why.
I'll understand why.
Yeah.
Okay.
So yeah, man, I think
so. Then there, of course, okay. So for those of you that want to finish on the FF #1,
God, yeah. Okay, so yeah, here's how we finished the story. God. 2 years ago now, I think, maybe 3.
Yeah, it's got to be 2, because I'm 43 and he's 42.
Yeah.
So
2 years ago, like right after Free Comic Book Day, like the week after, this guy comes in and he says, "Hey, I need to pay for my cancer. I need to sell my Fantastic Four collection."
Right, he's got the whole run and everything.
Yeah,
all the hard to find issues and everything.
It's 1 through 402.
Yeah,
exactly. Like it's here's everything. So I said, well, how much do you want? And he says, I want this much money for them. So
and for what he asked was extremely fair.
Incredibly fair. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I cut him the check, and
was that your first call?
You're absolutely my first call. Well, because it was the holy crap. Okay, so what a fantastic cancer story this is, that I just paid for someone's cancer treatment by getting Fantastic Four. So yeah, I called you up and was like, hey,
here's what I got in.
Here's what I've got. So you bought.
Actually, I think you started out with hey, are you still looking for a Fantastic Four #1?
Yeah,
which is the standard question.
Yeah.
On this.
So you ended up buying the issue 1 and then the Galactus trilogy. It was the fourth,
right, because there was a few issues that he needed on that to finish that part out.
Right.
Yeah.
So yeah, you got that in the 48, 49, and 50.
Yeah.
And
then the 1.
Yeah, and the 1, which I got you a hell of a deal on all that, because how could I not? And then it turns out that the 48.
Okay, so all right, so still looking for this issue for my friend Paul, and of course it just so happens that when this all comes about, Paul is turning 40.
Yeah,
and so I thought, hey, what better present to give someone when they turn 40 than a Fantastic Four #1, which we finally got that isn't tied to something else.
Yeah.
It's like, okay, we can give this,
perfect. Here you go. You're
let's
free
give
and
another
clear.
one away. Everyone
Yeah.
gets Fantastic Four #1s. So I gave Paul, finally gave him his Fantastic Four #1 for his 40th birthday. And so he's got it. But as Buck said, there were other issues that he was looking for, and, particularly issue 48.
Yeah.
And so that was his Christmas present, because his birthday's December 19th. And Christmas is the 25th. So it's here's your birthday, here's Christmas.
Well, and all the books were like, I checked the first 10 of all the books, and all of them were just in immaculate shape.
Yeah, in really good shape.
So and then the rest of the comics looked like they were in about that same condition. So we didn't really check and look.
No, there wasn't any reason. So, yeah. So anyway, after I give Paul these books, all of a sudden I was either driving back or I was back in Oklahoma from going to see everybody up there. And he said, "Did you know about this?" And I'm like, did I know about what? And I'm trying to figure out what he's talking about. And he sends me a picture, and inside the 48 is
just at the very bottom.
At the very bottom is Jack Kirby's autograph.
Yeah.
And I said, no, because much like Buck, we looked at it, we didn't look at it. We had no clue.
Yeah.
And I think he finally did get authenticated. He did verify it's Kirby's signature.
That's because they used to never sign the covers.
Oh
Right.
my
the book.
God.
So that is the perfect, let's put a little bow on this whole craziness of
giving away comics.
Yeah. So, man, and honestly, that's probably the perfect stopping point for this, because we could go on for hours. We'll definitely have you back on. Brad, I love you. You're a brother to me. Thank you so much for doing this.
You're welcome.
Man, what a crazy roller coaster of emotions.
No kidding.
Yeah. All right.
Oh my goodness.
Stephanie, thanks for being part of this as always.
Thank you.
Oh my gosh, how crazy. Making me cry. Brad, thanks for hosting this thing.
You're always welcome, Buck.
Oh my gosh. Thank you all for listening, and we will see you all next week.
Bye.
There we go. That's good. I'm okay. What you been up to? For those of you that don't know me, my name is Brad Cage. I'm a friend of Brian's. And first of all, let me say how happy I am you took my advice and married an engineer. I have a petroleum engineering degree, so that's where that comes in.
Slight bias.
Slight bias. Anyway, 8 years ago, I walked into New World Comics. I've been in and out of comics for years, and I decided to get back into things again. And after mulling around for a few minutes, I walked out. I decided to go ahead and give it another chance a few days later, and walked in, and was finally helped by someone in the store, and that was Buck. And they basically said, hey, here's a few things I want to get into. What else should I be reading? And 8 years later, that hasn't stopped.
We have no more room.
Well, anyway, was it about a year and a half? No, it was 2 years ago. It was before I got diagnosed. Yeah. And by the way, I'm doing this. I decided, anyone who in the last year and a half has undergone radiation, 2 rounds of chemo, and 2 major surgeries, and come out on the other side, I figured I could kind of hijack the wedding. So yeah, right before I was diagnosed, which would have been May of last year, Brian approached me and said, hey, are you still looking for Fantastic Four #1? And I said, well, yeah, my friend who's very much into that comic. And, yeah, I'm still looking for one. He goes, well, I have one for sale. And I was like, okay, really? Oh, that's interesting. How did you come across it? Well, come to find out that it was to cover Berlin. Also some other things. So it's one of those I was like, wow, it really hit me then and there. I mean, I'd known about Keara for a while. And it finally really, all of a sudden hit me. It was like, okay, this is the girl. He's wanting to sell probably his most prized possession, earthly possession that he has. She's got to be the one. So anyway, so we made the transaction, and here we are a couple years later, and I figured for a special occasion, I had to find something really special for you to have. And kind of easy, but really not. So anyway, I want to say thank you for everything. You've been a great friend over these last 8 years, especially over the last year and a half with my cancer battle. You've been great. I appreciate everything. You got my girls in the comics now. My wife ain't happier, but of the 15 years that I've lived in Oklahoma City, I can honestly say that I have run into fewer better people than you and the people that patronize your shop over at 6 So we have a special gift for you. I'd like you to open. And that's that way it's called.
And no, it's not for sale.
Did you autograph each page?
For a closer look, that's what we've got on the cake over here. So.